packages, food packages.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked volunteers. Of course, Rabbi Katz's pupils were the only ones who we sent at that time about 20 or 25,000 food packages to the DP camps.
Mm-hmm. Well.
But we were knocked out. We used to stay up all night till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And we couldn't, when it came to the yeshiva in the morning, of course, we were drowsy.
Mm-hmm.
So the Rosh Yeshiva came to the Rebbe.
So this is here, or you return to the States? This is
In the United States. I was in the United States.
Okay.
I went back after the war.
Yeah.
And he completed Rebbe that his pupil, his Hasidim, are not learning. They can't. They're drowsing. They can't keep their head up. The Rebbe should tell them to stop. So the Rebbe called us in. He said, Rav Dick he complained that you're drowsing away because you're up all night sending the packages. He said, please, do your best to keep your head up. But he didn't tell us to stop, you see. And we were in the Chofetz Chaim, I was in Professor Shalim at that time. And then it was time to get married. And Rabbi Katz helped me with a shidduch. Savta was a refugee from Belgium. When the Nazis went into Belgium, they escaped into France, but then they had Vichy France, so the family fell apart. Savta and her 2 of her sisters and a brother escaped to Italy, and they were in a monastery for a year and a half. And her mother and two of the younger brothers escaped to Switzerland. And the older sister, Sarah, and her fiance and her father escaped to Italy. Story is that the father was captured. Somebody squealed on him. He was in Naples. And about a week before the Americans, the Americans went to Italy from the bottom.
Yep.
And they went up to north. A week before they got to Naples, somebody squealed on him. And the Germans took him and what do you call it? Slaughtered him. They killed him. The older sister went with her fiance. They got married even at that time in the war. But there was nothing to eat. He was a skeleton of a human being. And when somebody squealed on them that this guy is her husband, and she are hiding in Rome, so she hid him in bed and covered him with a bed sheet. And when the Nazis came in to capture him, she said, "This is my son." So they said, "This small boy." They let him out. They didn't do anything. And those that were in the monastery, President Roosevelt refused to allow Jews in the DP who were freedmen in the DP camps to enter the United States. But there was such pressure on him that he finally decided to allow 1,500 Jewish children to come into the United States.
Wow.
He was a good president, you say. And she came with her brothers and sisters to the United States at that time. They didn't know from her mother, they didn't know anything, but her mother also escaped from Switzerland to the United States. She came before them. And the New York Times had a picture of her brothers and sisters, and her on the boat coming into the United States, and the mother saw the picture, and that's how they get together.
Wow.
Of course, they were very religious, and I was all alone. My father and mother, they were not religious. I was in yeshiva at the time, and we got married. I was exactly before then. I was a year's time. My cat's pupils, not all of them. About 5 of us were in Hakshara. We were preparing for Aliyah to Israel through our organization, and we were down in New Jersey, South New Jersey. First we were in Jamesburg, and then we first we were in Cranberry, New Jersey, and then we moved to Jamesburg. And we had, the organization was set up this way. Rabbi Katz didn't want to be the spiritual mentor. We had one of the big Rosh Yeshivas in New York, Rabbi Hutner, Yitzhak Hutner.
Oh, sure.
He decided, he saw that this is something that can be good, and he became the spiritual leader. The end of the day was that, first of all, when we were in Cranberry, they were mixed boys and girls. Of course, they didn't sleep in the same room. You can imagine boys and girls at the age of 17, 18.
Yeah.
It's not healthy. There were problems. So we decided that either they're going to make the Hakshara separate. In other words, girls sleep in a separate house, and we sleep in a different house, and we don't work together, or we're going to leave. And they actually accepted what we wanted, and then we moved into the new place. We separated, but then they sent them a shaliach from Israel, from one of the kibbutzim of Mizrahi. And he said, what separate? What kind of separate? He avoided it, he canceled everything, so we all left. But really broke up the whole thing. We still wanted to go through with it. And even the only help we were able to get was not the Gouda and not the Mizrahi, no one. The Hussatrut wanted to help us. They said, we're going to give us a place and everything. And we made a deal with them. We don't have to vote for them. Everything was fine. But what broke the camel's back, but they said, but you gotta have the red book, that you're part of the Hussatrut. Then he said, doesn't do it. So broke up. Actually, about 10 families came. 10 families did come. But what we wanted didn't work out. So I went into business, in the trucking business. I was a freight forwarder, customs agent. I had a warehouse I did export to Israel for people making Aliyah, and I decided I've had enough. I've got to make Aliyah. So I came in 1957 to see if we can fit in. And they told me, look, you're in the trucking business, if you come with the biggest truck, like a tractor trailer, you don't have any problem making a living. In fact, down south, they were setting up a new cooperative, trucking cooperative, and they said you can become a member of the cooperative, and you come only with the biggest truck. And in fact, they had the atmosphere of trucking in Israel was so big. I mean, the people were made a lot of money, and they were beyond Chassidim that asked me to be partners with me. I said, where are you going to get the money? They said they'll take Gemachim, said everybody a loan, $2,000, 5 guys, and they'll fund the profits to return the loans. The truck had a cost me at that time $25,000. So I was going to put in 15,000. They'll put in 10,000. I come back to the Rebbe, and I tell them I've decided that I'd like to make Aliyah and what the Rebbe thinks about it. So the Rebbe said, what are you going to do about making a living? So I told him the trucking business. I was in Israel for a year, for month's time, and gold. In fact, they're beyond Chassidim. They want to be partners with me. They want to be partners. I said, where are you going to get the money? They said they're going to take loans. To be continued.
Okay.